Welcome to Subramani. Year end is a time when many of us make resolutions, write it down beautifully, then break it in the month of January itself. Or some of us are resilient enough to go and break it in February, right? That's what resolutions are meant for. But one resolution I wish all of us make is simplification of portfolio or decluttering of portfolio. So sit down with the person who is going to handle your portfolio when you are not around. So if you are a man, talk to your spouse, talk to your wife. If you are a wife who is managing all the money, and today I am finding increasing number of women who are managing money, then talk to your husband about it. Talk to your children about 12 as to saying these are the assets that I have, and this is what if I die, this is what you have to do. Now this is a very difficult task to do if you are going to do it afresh, but yes, sometimes it is important that if you're, suppose you are a bachelor man or a woman, you're a bachelor or a spinster, and you are living with your parents. Your parents are say 82 and 83 and or 82 and 85 for all I care. So having this conversation is very difficult because you are 60, your parents are 83 and 82 and 85 or whatever. Having a conversation saying, look, if I die, this is what you have to do. It is easy to talk to your wife and children about that, but very difficult to take that conversation to your parents, especially if you are single and after you there is nobody to look after the money and to look after your parents. You have to find an alternative now. You have to find some cousin, some relative, somebody who will in the wanting the real estate that they have or the money that they have, or they have to be able to shift to a senior citizen home. It may not be a bad idea for you to shift to a senior citizen home with your parents. Sorry, I am digressing. Very important for you to sit with that person and understand whether that person wants to invest in equity at all. If he or she does not want to invest in equity, does not want to invest in so many mutual funds, best is to move the money slowly into an index fund. Not because index funds are going to outperform the managed funds or something like that. You ask a Prashant Jain, he is going to tell you that, look, I think I can outperform an index fund. So is Naren Shankaran, so is Anand Radhakrishnan, so is Sambra. Everybody is going to tell you the same thing, right? So Tahir Badshah, you don't expect any of them to say, no, I think index funds are going to perform well. So I'm not even talking about performance. I'm saying just open an index fund. I think this is one thing which all of us can do. Go and open for yourself an index fund account and start putting money into it. No, not as an SIP, but whatever. Suppose you have got 30,000 rupees lying in some small cap fund or a mid cap fund and your whole portfolio is worth 3 crores. This 30,000 doesn't really matter. It is lying there because somebody came, gave you a form, so you have created a big clutter. How to stop the clutter? Take away all these funds which and put it into an index fund. Treat the index fund like a savings bank account. Whenever you have money, wherever you see you have kept some 10,000 rupee fixed deposit, break it, don't break it, let it get matured, put it into an index fund. Keep accumulating everything in an index fund. That's the best way to simplify. I'm not saying it's the best way to improve performance, but it is definitely the best way to simplify. And for a person who is not at all interested in investing in mutual funds, at least they will know that this is one account where I can put money whenever I want and withdraw whenever I want. Treat it like an emergency fund, treat it like a fixed deposit, treat it like anything. Just keep putting money into it, and after 1 year you will be able to withdraw. So for the first 1 year you have a problem that it is going to have some exit load. After that you're going to pay 10% tax because it's an equity asset, right? So do that. Simplify your balance sheet, simplify your asset classes by creating an index fund. Go for the cheapest index fund. I mean, UTI, ICICI, I'm not very sure which one is the cheapest. Go for the cheapest fund. No, not an ETF, but a proper index fund, direct scheme. Just go and start putting everything there. So the first step towards decluttering is to open an index fund and putting all your money, wherever it comes from. You got a bonus, put it into that. You got treat it like a liquid fund, treat it like a savings bank account, treat it like that, because after 10, 20 years, 30 years when it is running, you won't even realize what is your cost and what you've removed, because you would have put something in 2021. When you're removing it in 2032, does it really matter, right? So don't worry too much about timing. So use that is one way how you can simplify. I'm assuming this is only within the equity class. I'm not saying you remove some debt product and put it into that. For that, you create an ultra short bond fund. So an index fund and an ultra short bond fund can both perform your work which a savings bank account does. And we need to do this because saving bank account is taking us for granted and paying us 1%, 2%, 3% kind of returns. The worst I've been getting is, I think, 2% in bank, which I've just closed down. So when people are taking you for granted, you need to know how to react. So definitely, sorry, but this is a digression again. So this the index fund and ultra short bond fund are not meant to improve your yields, but to simplify your life. And so sit with your spouse and explain as to what you're doing, saying, I have this large cap fund, I have this mid cap fund, I have this technology fund, I have this pharma fund, but all other funds I am just taking and putting into an index fund. After some time, I may take my US fund and put it into an Indian index fund, or I may take my US fund and put it into a world developed market index fund. I may do any of those things, but right now this is the program. All the 17 funds in which we are invested, I am bringing them slowly into the index fund. This helps you consolidate and make your portfolio shorter but higher value, instead of keeping it long with 20,000, 30,000, 80,000, 1,42,000, and your biggest fund being something like 42 lakhs. Then all the others put together is 20 lakhs. This is not done. You might as well consolidate. So consolidation and decluttering mean more or less the same thing in this context. What else can you do to simplify your portfolio? Definitely something which you can do is see whether, index fund and ultra short bond fund, the other solution is of course BAF. So see in that BAF how much of equity you want, whether it has exactly that amount of equity. So put it in a BAF, because that will solve your problem of looking at equity and debt separately. But also understand that in BAF you may be able to withdraw only after 3 years. So make sure that you don't need to withdraw within 3 years, and use put small amounts of money. The advantage of putting it in BAF is you will be able to put your debt also into it, and you don't have to think too hard. So tell your spouse, tell your children, look, I'm going to use this BAF as an all-weather fund. Whenever I have money, I will put in. Whenever I need money, I'll remove. Or it could even be a multi-asset fund, whereas you get some exposure, you get some exposure to gold also, right? So tomorrow another multi-asset could come which would include REIT. Then you say, okay, I will put into that. But as of now, you have a multi-asset fund which includes equity, debt, and some bit of gold. So that's not a bad option for decluttering. Put it there, and you can choose when you want to withdraw, right? So as of now, we don't have any target date fund. So you will have to create your own target date fund by deciding how much to be in equity, how much to be in debt, and how important are those goals. For example, if it's your daughter's marriage, it's a little flexible. You do not know exactly when will happen. You can only say, okay, it will happen between this year to this year, I think, or it may not happen. That's also okay. But when your child is coming up for 12th class exam, you know exactly when it will happen. And if your child were to join, say, medicine, you know exactly the cash flow required on the particular date to pay the fees. All that money should not be in equity. Fairly obviously, it should not be in equity. That money should be in debt, completely in debt. In fact, I would think that money should be lying in your son or daughter's account, and from there it should get paid. So at least they know how much is the fees being paid, then they are paying it, they know how to receive the OTP, right? You're going to teach them all that. That's part of your job, as financial education start within the family, right? I'm running out of questions, so thank you. Bye.